What kind of bone is this? A tooth? It was the size of the palm of my hand, with wave-like ridges on the outside. Who should I ask? Sherry all the way still. Sherry? I have a question. Yes? What bone is this? It looks like a tooth, but... I handed it to her and she turned it over, examining it closely. Why, it's a tooth of a woolly rhinoceros. An upper molar, to be exact. How can you tell? Their molars have a very characteristic shape if you look at the ridge here. It's like a W. Right! You see this in horse teeth as well. It helps with sharing tough plant material. Still, you identified it so fast. Once you've worked with hundreds of them, it becomes second nature.
What are we looking at? Have we discovered something valuable?
Sherry turned and held up the tooth. Augustin barely glanced at it.
You've seen one silly Coelodonta antiquitatis upper molar. You've seen them all.
At least I know for next time. Thanks, Sherry.
Sherry has become such an expert in identifying animal fauna, considering she started in forensics.
Forensics? Really? I know you teach it, but I didn't know that was your career, too. Yes! Although the aims may be different, the goal is to identify human remains. In forensic anthropology, you mainly deal with recovering modern remains in a legal context, while archaeology is broader and spans history. Interesting. How did you get into archaeology? I was called in to assist a colleague with a sacred burial ground. We identified the remains for historical purposes, and then reburied them again. Wow, I had no idea.
You could say she has literal skeletons in her closet.
True, most of the skeletons used in my classes are donations or being borrowed from those sites.
The rest are her previous lovers.
Augustin, you jest! Just my first husband. Melissa, you should resume cleaning now that we've identified the tooth. Right. We just won't go any further into that.
Pasta again? What's with all the high-calorie stuff anyway?
I grinned as I watched Chantel shove another forkful of Alfredo tortellini into her mouth. It took you that long to notice? Besides, it's the easiest, most inexpensive stuff to make. All you do is throw stuff into a pot, let it boil, and use pre-made sauces. Plus, it gives you energy after all that digging and lab work.
True, but variety would be nice. It's mostly chili, some type of soup, macaroni, again with the pasta.
She trailed off and we continued eating. A moment later, Chantel let out an unexpected sigh. Something up? Is it about the food again?
No, I feel bad about what happened with DeAndre. He was already struggling to pass the elective, and the near fall made it worse. Plus, it was kind of my fault, too. I wonder if they'll fail him.
Augustin can do that?
Of course. Our teachers aren't here. For us to pass, we need to at least perform satisfactorily. Basically, don't break stuff, don't fumble in our document reports, and finish our square.
Now that I think about it, I hardly see him in the cave at all. Our chat continued until we finished our meals. While I gathered the dishes, my mind drifted to DeAndre. I really hope they won't fail him for an accident. How was he anyway? At lunch, he laughed and even retold the story to the students who weren't there. Should I go find DeAndre or talk to Hendrik about it? Sorry, Hendrik. Saving ya. I missed him at dinner, and I didn't see him hanging at the campfire site as usual. I walked around the museum before entering it, and there was still no sign of him. This was definitely out of the ordinary. Unless... we don't have to ask the girls, because we know about this thing. Haha! I jogged along the path to the cave, stopping halfway once I found a little trail that led through the forest. I heard a loud grunt, followed by a rustle. I'm glad they put that in there. It's like, wait a minute. DeAndre walked up to the spear embedded in the haystack. With one hand, he yanked it out and returned to a farther distance. Hey, DeAndre, what are you doing here? He barely glanced in my direction before he took a wide lunge and launched the spear using the atlatl thrower. It missed the hay by a few feet, and he groaned disappointedly before turning to me. Clearing my thoughts. Is it about the accident?
That and a bunch of other things. I'm convinced I'm going to fail this elective, which means signing up for another course in the fall.
At least it's only one course?
Yes, but I was hoping to finish this summer so I could focus on my rugby career. Even if it's one course, it'll mess up my schedule, and I promised my team I could focus 110% this fall.
Oh boy, I feel a giant sneeze coming on. Hold on. Oh. Is that it? You done? You done, nose? I hope so. Okay. Ahem.
Me and my big mouth. I didn't think I'd struggle with rocks and dirt, but here I am. Better start packing if I already know the result.
Why don't you try again? I'm sure you'll pass now that you know how to dig and do the lab work.
And mess up a second time? I'm not exactly a science guy. Most of my courses have been English related.
We all have our weak points. It's not easy to absorb a subject you never studied before in the span of 4 weeks. It's not much, but I could help you too, if you retook the elective.
Would you?
If you don't mind a fellow student teaching you, I'm still learning too. I'll do my best to help you graduate. You did make me feel welcome here after all. I'm returning the favor.
Either way, it'd mean a lot to me. Merci beaucoup, Mel. Did you come to see how I was doing?
Of course. I was worried about you, DeAndre.
Aw, thanks for caring, Mel. I'm fine. I only needed some fresh air and to take my mind off things. I'll get it all sorted out.
Right. Good luck with it. Hopefully we encourage him to stay. Come on, girl. Girl! Please, just dance. Dance! Yes! Finally. I'm just looking to keep these 2 internet things. Bleh. Okay, yes, you are in the cave for sure. You're still in the cave for sure. I'm making sure you're not... Okay, I don't need to volunteer. I do need to volunteer. Cave, yes. I don't need to volunteer on Wednesday. You're in the cave. Volunteer Thursday. Okay, back to the cave on Friday. So it's all cave this week. Volunteering, yes, and okay. How's our relationships going? Got a little bit more of a heart, even though you didn't dance with us. Nothing has changed otherwise. Okay, let's go. The halfway point, huh? Today, Kalon Cave would receive an influx of new students, meaning repeated lectures and speeches. I could count on KYLER, Chantel, and Joan returning, and of course the main excavation team, but as usual, the truck pulled up before the closed gate. Augustin hopped out and unlocked it before returning to his vehicle to park it elsewhere. Sherry approached me, patting her purse. I have your journal. Please go over it when you have the chance. Will do. Thanks, Sherry. She disappeared into the museum. As time passed, more and more students arrived. Unlike the first time, I immediately greeted them with broken French, then explained I could not speak it well. They responded in English with various degrees of fluency, appreciating the warm welcome. Hendrik and Rosemarie arrived next. Hendrik gave a friendly wave as I hurried to meet them. Leaning down, he greeted me with a light kiss to both cheeks, and Rosemarie followed suit. Hey, kiddo. How was your weekend? I thought about how I curled up under the blanket, drowning out all of the freaky noises with my music. I survived. It was good. Nice, relaxing weekend. We talked until Hendrik and Rosemarie excused themselves to set up their equipment. Looked like everyone arrived. Oh! Oh, this is new! Ah! Whoops. My timer slipped. Ah! The little double arrow thing, which is usually like the skip button, has vanished, which means this is new. Even KYLER said hello before vanishing to the tent area instead of just nodding curtly. Yes. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted DeAndre and Shoji, both pulling their luggage, and I brightened. DeAndre's return was expected, but Shoji had no reason to continue the elective. So we don't muck things up with KYLER, we'll greet Shoji. Comment allez-vous? Ça va bien. Or I think it's ka. Ça va bien. I leaned in and he froze on the spot. Noting his hesitation, I paused, waiting for a sign. Slowly he turned his head to the side and I gave him a light kiss on one cheek, then the other. Sorry, did I do it wrong? No, I just didn't expect it, that's all. And what brings you back? I thought you finished the elective for good. In a way, yes. I passed the elective with a B. I thought I'd do worse, so it was a pleasant surprise. Then I came back because I feel it's been a good experience for me. You've been enjoying your time here? I have. At first I wasn't sure and I felt awkward, but people have been friendly. Even if Augustin can get a little scary at times. Tell me about it. Well, I'm glad you're here again. It's nice to see a familiar face, and now you have more experience than most of the students here. Yes. He took tiny steps, and I saw that he was trying to reach the tent area without brushing me off. I gestured toward the path. Go ahead. You can tell me if you need to end the conversation, you know. With a grateful nod, he wheeled his luggage away just as DeAndre was coming back. Ready for round 2?
You know it, even if Dupont is not happy to see my mug here again. Hendrik said he'd do his best to be more available this time. It probably won't be easy with a wave of new students. At least I'm familiar with the routine. I'll be counting on you too, Mel.
Leave it to me. When we heard Augustin shouting to gather the students around, DeAndre lowered his voice.
I'll definitely pass this time.
I couldn't believe it was already the halfway point. Time to make the most out of the last 4 weeks. We only got 4 more weeks to romance Mr. Darcy. Gotta do it. We can do it. No, Melissa, please. Just internet. Just internet, girl. Why? Why you hate all the time, girl? At least you succeeded in something. Why has KYLER not dumped us? We just fail. We fail at studying, we fail in the cave. I bet KYLER doesn't fail at all these things, Melissa. You know? There you go. My trowel wavered before I steeled myself and decisively cut through the sediments. My pace definitely slowed down, especially with my recent mistakes brought to light. And I sighed. Oh. I glanced at KYLER, who was unaware of my struggles, and I decided not to bug him about it. I guess I secretly hoped for someone to notice and cheer me up. Wonder if I should speak to Sherry. Oh. One of the protruding rocks became loose as I dug underneath it. I pulled it out, careful not to make a mess. Another stone nestled below shifted in my hand as I collected them. Assuming it was a fracture of the first rock, I tossed it into the bucket without a second look. We all know what that was. Burnt flint. Before I could refocus on my work, I heard someone come down the ladder. Oh, please be here for KYLER. Please be.
Ah, Melissa, I wanted to talk to you.
Sure. What about? I tried to disguise my nervousness, but my voice cracked under pressure.
I am just here to observe your work. What layer are you working on?
Right now I'm excavating 2. 3CL and 3DR.
Can you show me the boundaries?
Obediently, I traced the dirt line with the tip of my trowel and followed up with an explanation of why I felt the sediments ended here.
Can you show me how you record the findings? Start with that one.
He gestured to a half-buried rib bone, and I nodded, wondering if he was here to critique how I did the procedure. The rulers nearly slipped out of my hand as I lined them up for recording. The rib was positioned 29 centimeters to the right and 53 centimeters away from the rear perimeter of the square. As I announced the recordings, Augustin folded his arms and stroked his chin in a methodical manner.
Then what is the axis?
My brain turned to mush and I stammered on the spot, trying to process his question. It's this one. Anytime I can avoid being yelled at by Augustin, I am. I'm not gonna do this. The coordinates are X29 and Y53.
Thank you. You're doing well, petite fleur.
Once he climbed the ladder, I slumped down and blankly stared at the square before me. What was that even about, anyway? I mean, he didn't really give me any feedback. I guess that's a good thing. I did everything perfectly. I repeated that to myself and continued my work, my mood mixed with relief and confidence. After the earlier mistakes, it felt like a minor victory and a step in the right direction. Now to keep it up! Until we don't anymore. Ugh. Ow! Girl. Why? That tongue massage took forever. Both of the empty buckets were stacked and hung off my arm as I climbed down the ladder. After I placed the items next to my knee pads, KYLER glanced in my direction. How's the line for the wet screening? Very long. Some of the students are lounging in chairs for their turn outside. Oy. Separating the buckets, I picked up my trowel and started scraping the clay off the blade. I hate this layer. I'd rather Charleston. Charleston. You've displeased me with your ways. What? Sorry, it's a song and you just happened to say a line from it, and I continued. It's about a smart brother who laments that his sister is wasting her time dancing and neglecting her studies. It's totally not about me. I didn't say anything. Dancing. Is it a hobby of yours? Well. The trowel nearly slipped out of my hand and I stared at him in disbelief. I thought my passion was apparent and I tapped my sweater with pride. Do not see Lindy Hopper. It's my lifestyle. It even says Lindy Hopper here. I'm a swing dancer. Ah. Then, when you asked me to dance with you, put it together, Mr. Darcy. Don't worry about it. I thought it'd be fun to dance together, but it's not your thing. Now that you learned something about me, I get to ask about your favorite hobby. I don't follow why you want to know. Yellow. Gosh, yellow. I feel like I should know. Chantel?
Pardon the intrusion.
Nope. Why did it put yellow question marks? If it was orange, I'd be like, okay. Pardon the intrusion. You love birds? I glanced up and Hendry gave a friendly wave before climbing down the ladder. Sorry, didn't mean to disrupt the conversation. It's fine. What's up? I have something to ask of KYLER. Me? He stared skeptically at Hendrik, who remained in hopeful spirits. Next week we're having a group of elementary students visit, and we'd appreciate more help. I thought you'd be perfect for the job as an assistant. KYLER's guard dropped slightly, and he watched Hendrik with renewed interest. You've seen the tours plenty of times, and you're familiar with the routine and the material we cover. It shouldn't take more than 2 hours. School trips tend to be short. You don't need to answer right away. I'll give you some time to think. I'll do it. Oh, that was quick. Thanks, KYLER. I'll let Helena know. After we exchanged goodbyes, I turned to KYLER, still surprised by his rapid response. Before I could praise him, I noticed that he appeared very apprehensive, and he took in a deep breath. Oh, elementary, huh? Worried about dealing with kids? Right. It's not something I'm accustomed to. Aw, I'm sure they'll be a well-behaved bunch. Do you have siblings you grew up with? Maybe you can draw experience from that. I have a younger sister named Angelique, but she's as quiet as I am. Right. Just be prepared to listen and answer questions and you'll do fine. The teachers handle the rest. Kids have tons of energy. They're curious and ask a lot of questions, probably to the point of being annoying. What? Hey! I did not ask a lot of questions to the point of being annoying. How dare you? Ugh. So offended. Maybe I can do it after all. See? Of course you can. What are these tours like? I love that Melissa did not catch on to that at all. For school trips, Hendrik or Helena show them around the museum first, and then they visit the cave. After that, they snack outside and do a small activity like draw, or watch Rosemary nap Flint. That's neat. I look forward to it. We both returned to our squares, and KYLER glanced at the buckets surrounding him. He picked up 2 of them. Hopefully the line is shortened. Good luck. If you're lucky, you'll be able to wet screen before the shift is over. Why was he looking at me funny earlier anyway? Who can say? Who can say, Melissa? Maybe Mr. Darcy's heart is warming to us finally, despite all our many, many failures. What? How come I'm just getting worse and worse? What happens if my stress goes to 100? I'm just not hitting any of the things I need. Okay, I'm gonna have to just cut out the studying for now. Okay, cave, cave, volunteer, cave. Don't need to volunteer that day. Cave, yes, volunteer. He's in the lab that day. And volunteer, and okay. I'm almost wondering if I should put... No, I'll give her one last chance. And nothing else has changed. That week went really quickly. Okay. Let's see what... Oh wow, we succeeded! My fingers fumbled as I tried to line up the ruler, constantly making adjustments until I was happy. While I was doing that, Augustin shouted something, mentioning KYLER's name. I glanced to the left, but KYLER gave no indication that he heard it. I tapped KYLER's shoulder and he jolted upright. Despite being startled, his reaction had lessened somewhat since he had gotten used to me grabbing his attention. He switched his implant on. I tilted my head upward and he followed my gaze. After the two exchanged words, KYLER set his trowel down. Was that about the tour Hendrik mentioned to you? Yes. They'll be arriving soon, and I must prepare. Best of luck. I know you'll do fine. He was puzzled by my support, but gave a simple nod. Sure. After cleaning up his excavation space, he climbed the ladder, leaving me alone in the square hole. The square hole? I continued my work until I heard footsteps and the chatter of voices echoing through the cave. Hendrik led a middle-aged teacher and roughly 20 elementary students onto the catwalk, forming a long line. Many of the kids clambered to the railing, poking their heads above or between the bars. They pointed excitedly at all the archaeologists at work, or pretending to dig. It wasn't until I craned my head up that I spotted KYLER near the back. While Hendrik gestured to the roof of the cave, KYLER made fluid motions and signs whenever he spoke. Duh, the kids must have been curious about him. Slowly the restless conga inched deeper, but Hendrik stopped where the railing ended. Even in French, I could tell he and the teacher gave stern safety instructions before they reverted into their learning is fun voices. During the lecture, Hendrik would pause to address any raised hands. The tour was too distracting for me to focus on work, and I observed the class instead. Hendrik gestured to some of the archaeologists, including DeAndre.
Salut! Je m'appelle DeAndre. J'ai cru Palor.
The kids laughed and shouted something to DeAndre, who pretended to be surprised. Once the excitement died down, Hendrik glanced in my direction. Hey Melissa, we mentioned we had archaeologists from around the world working here. Say hi for us. Smiling widely, I waved and stood on my tiptoes to give them a better view of me. Bonjour! Je ne parle pas français. I'm from America. There was a chorus of laughter, probably from my silly voice and terrible accent. Hendrik nodded happily and returned to the students. A girl beside KYLER pointed to me. KYLER made a few gestures with his hands while he answered, and I had the sneaky suspicion it was about me somehow. Oh, so that's why it always, flitted between, it went to, Hendrik, KYLER, and then DeAndre. And I was like, what the heck is happening with all the boys? Also, I love KYLER's shirt, by the way. Wait a minute, he did mention me. He made the sign for American, which was easy to pick out due to the interlaced fingers in the circle. However, I did not recognize the following sign, which looked like he was giving himself a handshake with closed fists. I feel like that's familiar somehow. I mean, I know they don't use ASL, but I feel like that's a... Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up later. That's gonna bug me. That sign just sounds familiar to me. I made a mental note to ask him about it later. Maybe Melissa will find out before I do. While Hendrik mentioned Neanderthals, I saw DeAndre creeping behind Shoji Square, which was out of view to most of the students. He watched the group as if waiting for the perfect cue to strike? What's that idiot planning? Before Hendrik had finished his sentence, there was a loud roar, followed by heavy stomping. DeAndre emerged on the catwalk, lunging in a wide stance with arms raised above his head. The kids squealed happily in a mix of surprise and pretend fear, while Hendrik watched in bewilderment. KYLER straightened himself up, not impressed with DeAndre's antics. He unleashed a stern line of words before pointing at DeAndre accusingly.
Neanderthal. Quoi?
The children erupted into laughter, and even Hendrik doubled over, one hand clutching his stomach as he leaned against the railing. It was DeAndre's turn to be confused, and the two started their rapid-fire banter. The teacher tried to calm everyone down since Hendrik was unable to speak. Finally, Hendrik recovered, still chuckling between breaths, and motioned for the class to exit the cave. The teacher repeated Hendrik's instructions, and the children slowly filed out, this time led by KYLER. Before they completely vanished, Hendrik said something to DeAndre. DeAndre was startled, but followed Hendrik, leaving us alone in a silent cave. Well, almost silent. Many of the students chuckled, murmuring softly as they spoke about the events that occurred. The buzz was over, and I inserted my earbuds, preparing to excavate seriously. Still, that was rather entertaining. It seemed like everyone involved with the tour was having fun, including, dare I say, KYLER too? I wonder if we get to ask him. An hour later, KYLER returned and resumed his excavation. My curiosity won over, and I patted him on the shoulder.
Yes.
Sorry, was wondering how it went. How did the rest of the tour go?
It went really well, even with DeAndre's antics. He's good with kids, probably because he's childish himself, and kept them entertained.
Reminds me, before the whole roar thing, I noticed you were talking about me.
Talking.
Yes, I saw the sign for American.
You remembered?
Of course! I'm a dancer. I'm good at memorizing visual patterns, since not all instructors are patient enough to show you a second time. Then you did this. Oh! He's embarrassed. What is it? Remind me, good sir! Good sir! I turned over one hand and grasped the other, creating balled fists that dipped down. KYLER averted his eyes in embarrassment. What does that mean? You weren't making fun of me behind my back, right?
I wouldn't do that. It's the sign for friend.
Friend? He was so embarrassed to call us his friend? Okay, that's different from ASL. I think. No, I'm thinking of the sign for close. Gosh, it's been so long since I've practiced my ASL. Anyway, I would assign. Oh, that is not Melissa. Nope.
I would have signed coworker or colleague, but I rationalized that friend was easier to gesture while talking.
He nodded in weak conviction, and I chuckled at his excuse. Aw, don't act all shy about it. We're already square mates. The next logical step is friend. You should have just said so.
I admit I've considered you my friend for a while, but I wasn't sure if it was mutual. I'm not competent at making friends, and it's even harder to keep them.
Don't worry about it. I'm glad we've gotten to know each other.
Same here. This year has been a truly interesting experience.
Oh, in what way?
I've been talking to the other students more. First you, Shoji, even DeAndre. I never expected Hendrik to ask me to help out with the tour either. It's a bit overwhelming at times. I'm not used to socializing, but I don't mind it.
I'm happy for you. I'm not great at explaining things, but you seem more easygoing than when we first met.
I don't know about easygoing, but I don't feel as withdrawn as before.
It's because you have an awesome square mate digging beside you.
More like nosy.
Yeah, that too. We exchanged a tuckle. No, we didn't tackle each other yet. We exchanged a chuckle and returned to our tasks. He was still as diligent as ever. I'm glad he opened up during this excavation. And to us too. But we're getting closer to romance at least, because now we're buddies. Isn't that nice? Wow, and apparently it's done wonders for our morale, because we're succeeding so much now. Look at this. Well, we're just like, KYLER's our friend, yay!